Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 504, Power Rankings. Hello, Big Chillians, and welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie. Eddie, how's it going? Nice early evening for you?
Yeah, only in the middle of the night. But aside from that, everything's going pretty well.
Very nice.
Conversation flowing to start the podcast then.
Well, I was actually gonna mention that I was on a slight, I don't know, like work trip / vacation, and I was up in Breckenridge, and I was definitely over ambitious with what I think I could have accomplished from like an outdoor perspective, because
From
I
a
had
hike,
high hopes.
like a hike?
Yeah, because I was gonna do. I had highlighted 2 hikes that I wanted to do. Both would have been at peaks of 14,000 feet. And the first one though, like, was only at the, like, you only did the last, like, I don't know, 1,500 of like the elevation gain. So it was kind of a shorter hike. And then towards the end of the trip, I wanted to do a much longer hike, like almost like a full day, like a 10-hour hike, and go up to like the peak of one mountain, and you go along the ridges, and you hit like 5 peaks in one go and then come back. But after literally the first night of going out, I woke up and my Whoop told me I was at like 0% recovery. My blood oxygen level was 88%, and my heart rate was like crazy elevated. So there was no way I was going to be able to do it.
How much do you let the Whoop recovery dictate your workouts?
Not much, but like I knew I didn't feel great. But to see my blood oxygen like below 90 is never a good sign. Like you're not going to be in a top shape to be able to do some sort of strenuous activity. So then I did end up going to like the gym at the hotel once we got to Breckenridge, which is really high elevation. And I did the elliptical it was the exact same elliptical, same speed, same resistance, everything that I normally do. And my heartbeat was 35 beats higher than it normally is. So it was pretty crazy. Like, I always underestimate the elevation, but it's real.
Yeah, I mean, I can even remember as a kid, like living in Salt Lake City, which is decent elevation, right? That's like 1,200 meters elevation in Salt Lake City. But like we would play against people who, like, obviously if you go up to Park City, where like some of the school, we had one school we competed against up in Park City, but also some others who would play in the foothills of the mountains. And you would go up another, I mean, Park City is like 2,000 meters. So already that's an 800-meter jump in elevation, right? And just that, even if you're used to the 1,200 meters, you'd suddenly go to the 2,000 meters and feel not out of breath, but you'd like notice the difference. Like if you were suddenly in like a difficult sports contest, you're noticing the extra 800 meters of elevation compared with someone who's just living there on a 24/7 basis. So yeah, when you're then going from, I mean, where you're pretty much at sea level, right? Where you are in Arizona?
No, actually, Tucson's kind of high. It's like half a mile high.
Okay.
So it's like 800 to 1,000 meters.
All right. Okay. But still going up another,
Yeah.
what, 1,000, wherever you're like, however up high you're going. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a noticeable difference.
No, it was funny too, because we would like go down the hill. Like the resort was kind of on a little bit of a hill. So you'd go down the hill into town for lunch. And then every time we'd come back, depending on who you were walking with, there'd always be someone who'd be like, all right, guys, I know this is bad, but can we slow down? Okay, yeah, sure. I don't need like a 55-year-old scientist passing out here on the sidewalk.
No, it's true. People really I mean, obviously from an athlete standpoint, they don't underestimate the impact of altitude, because you do have people obviously doing altitude training and all sorts of things. I do think the average person, unless you're going to like Peru, kind of underestimates the impact. Like within the United States, I think most people are just like, well, of course I can go anywhere. And it's like, well, there's a huge variance in altitude from, obviously Mile High Stadium gets its name for a specific reason. But, you go to those cities where suddenly you're really operating at a different altitude. It has an impact on your body for sure.
Yeah. And I'll say this though, being in altitude, you think it's going to get you in better condition, but being extremely hungover overrides that. Because then when I got back that night, I flew in and went right to hockey, and I played hockey, and it was awful.
Let me put this here. I don't think anyone thinks you go to altitude, drink for 4 days, and you come back in better condition. I don't think.
I went to the gym twice.
Oh, the hotel gym twice. Wow.
Yeah.
Did some elliptical to like burn off your hangover. I don't think anyone thinks like that's not how Tyson Fury is prepping for his fights.
That's not how it works.
No.
Oh, okay.
He's not just going on a pub crawl at altitude.
Now that would be awesome. If that were the case, I think I could do some altitude training.
Yeah. Now, where do we start? We've got some sports to catch up on. It's obviously been about a week since we recorded a podcast. Okay. Are we starting NFL? Are we starting European football?
I want to start Mighty Ducks 2, season 2.
Okay, that's not happening. No.
We have so many fans who are probably hardcore fanatics of the Mighty Ducks season 2 Game Changers.
Look, we can, we don't do a lot of tracking of our sort of episode to episode statistical performance or which minutes of the podcast people listen to. But there was a noticeable drop off when we dedicated a significant portion of the podcast to the Mighty Ducks television series. So I don't want to, the people who managed to stick with it or the new listeners we've gained since then, I don't want to just completely give them the middle finger and drive them off.
I will just give you this information. Maybe the people who make the show listen to our podcast because they have eliminated the character who they called the human tripod. So for those who haven't seen the show, it's like they're 12 to 14 years old, and one kid was nicknamed the tripod. I mean, and after we went after that nickname for four straight podcast episodes in a row, I think the Mighty Ducks writers heard us, and he's been swiftly eliminated.
Wait, you say they listened to that? That's a shame because that was one of the few things that was amusing from season 1. So they have eliminated. They've gone, there's
super inappropriate humor.
There's unintentional humor here. Let's get rid of the unintentional. Let's just lean into the fact that there's no intentional humor. So I guess that's our summary probably of the Mighty Ducks TV show overall. Hey, if you want, we can start TV shows. Do we go TV shows first? If you want to go that direction?
Let's stick with sports. Let's stick with sports.
So, we going NFL or are we going European football? Where do you want to start?
Let's do European football because I've actually got Sam on the phone here, and he's going to give us a little shout out about Arsenal.
Are you going to do an impression? But yes, I mean, I think there's two major talking points from a European football perspective. One of which is Arsenal's, I guess, significant victory over Liverpool on Sunday.
Is it a stamp of legitimacy?
I would say no, based on the nature of the victory. I think that was a draw on how the match itself played out. I know there will be complaints from Liverpool supporters about how the penalty that was given to win them, allow Arsenal to win the match. I think would be some protests from that standpoint. So I think it was probably a draw was the fair result. So I don't think actually, if you're a little bit of an Arsenal skeptic, I don't think they did much in that performance.
But even a solid draw against Liverpool, when I think you would be one of the people who previously have said they are a good team, but they're nowhere near the top 2 level. But now to draw,
I don't think Liverpool are
in top 2. Okay.
No. So this is the issue. The issue we have is this is not the Liverpool team from last season or the season before. And so, how do you gauge the quality of that result? And the issue I have a little bit is they started, they scored within the opening minute. It was a great start from them. And then they kind of just sat back and allowed Liverpool to come into the match. To me, that was a little bit concerning because it was almost a team it reminded me very much of what England do, where you have this attacking prowess, but you're in a match and you don't kind of have the courage of your convictions almost. And it was reminiscent of watching the Euro 2020 final of England getting an early goal against Italy and then just going, oh, wow, we scored a lot sooner than we thought we would. Now what do we do? And they kind of just sat back and allowed Liverpool to come into the match in the same way that England sat back and allowed Italy to come into the match in the final. And then probably by the end of the 90 minutes, you almost flipped it to going, well, Liverpool are the better team, even though, they had to come from behind on multiple occasions. And obviously ultimately didn't on the final occasion. But yeah,
I,
it
I
didn't
mean,
win me over.
but they've now beaten Spurs and Liverpool back to back.
It's good. Like, don't get me wrong, the results, but the performances themselves didn't make me think. And look, it's a little bit tough, right? Because I'm coming into it with being a skeptic, and it's like anything in life when you're approaching it with a degree of skepticism. How much evidence do you need to convince you to change your beliefs? And I'm going to be one of these skeptics with the Arsenal team where I'm going to say, well, if they beat Liverpool, maybe I'll change my mind. They beat Liverpool. I didn't change my mind. Like I, I don't know.
No, that's
They're going
not
to,
one of those people. That's just you.
no,
That
look,
defines you.
if the last 2.5, 3 years have told us anything, Frank, that's a lot of people in the world where their skepticism requires a lot of evidence to make them change their belief systems. And look, I don't know exactly when I'll believe in them. It's not yet. Now, I put it this way: they might be the second best team in England. That's a major upgrade on what they were coming into the season from my perspective. But I don't know. I don't consider them legit. I mean, look, I think City are going to run away with the title. So I don't think anyone's a legitimate title contender at this point.
Well, I I guess that's the question. When I say is that like a stamp of legitimacy, I mean as being, I would say, a top three. Because
Yeah.
I think you're right. At this point, I don't think there is another club that can run with City.
No, I mean, which is, I mean, look, Arsenal are still top of the table, right? It's like
I know,
it's such a weird situation where, everyone's
but it's
handing
still,
City
yeah,
the title,
it's
and they're not even top. You know what I mean?
you're
Like
right,
it's very,
but it's still so early that like who they've played obviously plays into your
yes,
point total still. I mean, it's like the
sure.
NFL. We talked last week about the Eagles. The Eagles are undefeated, but what teams have they played, and what teams are they gonna play? So that definitely I think plays into it a little bit. But I think that City and Arsenal will sort itself out as the teams start to go through the schedule. But is it still an upgrade if they are a definitive top three team?
It's an upgrade on my preseason expectations. So, I think they're ahead of schedule, probably even from their own perspectives. I know that there's a lot of Arsenal supporters now, including Sam, who are super optimistic about what their prospects are. And to a certain extent, they are helped by the fact that they're only playing Europa League football. Playing on a Thursday is not ideal. So there's that element in terms from a sort of scheduling perspective. It's not perfect. But if they really want to, they can just rest their team in the Europa League in a way that if it were Champions League football, they probably, even if they were willing to sort of let the Champions League go, they would probably feel compelled to play stronger teams in the Champions League than they can play in the Europa League, and also would be required to in order to get decent results. So they're helped in that regard when you think of pretty much all the teams they're competing against bar Manchester United for that sort of top three realistically. But I don't know. Look, I'd be surprised at this point if they finish outside of the top three. I'll say that much. But I don't think it's impossible because I don't totally believe in them. So if you told me they all of a sudden went on a run of, 4 consecutive defeats and we're suddenly sitting in fourth, I wouldn't be blown away. And it is still so early in the season. It doesn't take that many poor results to drop a couple of places. So I think yes, I think, again, we spoke about it on a previous episode. I'm kind of just ruling everyone else out in the process in terms of trying to figure out why I think they are a top 2 or top 3 team. It's not so much a stamp of approval for Arsenal as it is, well, I don't really believe in Liverpool. I don't really believe in Chelsea. I don't really believe in Manchester United. So I think and Spurs, who I think you're kind of finding more faults in their rivals rather than finding qualities in them. And again, that concerns me. But I guess the maybe more interesting news on the European football scene is the Kylian Mbappe situation, which has rapidly developed since the weekend. So he
Rapidly.
had, yeah, I mean, he,
Yeah.
following their disappointing draw on Saturday, he had an Instagram post, which he has subsequently deleted, in which he used a kind of disparaging hashtag in reference to the position in which he's played, because he's very unhappy about the fact that he's forced to play out wide, played up directly up front, sorry, and kind of played out of position. And now has, according to insiders, requested a transfer, said he wants to leave in the January transfer window. This in spite of the fact that he signed a new contract only last summer. We covered it previously on the podcast, how they had this huge celebration of the fact that he had signed that new contract right before their final match of the season. It it's just a bizarre situation. It's kind of difficult. It's difficult for him to look good, I would say, out of this, having signed that new contract to seemingly be demanding it. It's also difficult. He's getting a lot of backlash when it comes to former players speaking about the fact that, okay, he's playing maybe not in his ideal position, but we're talking about a handful of matches or a few months. And if you're not willing to kind of be a team player for a short period of time and not play in your ideal position, then that's not a great look for you, that you need everything to be exactly your way, factoring in that he's playing in a team that also has Messi and Neymar in attack. So, it's not as if he's being played out of position to allow sort of mediocre players to fill the rest of the attacking spots. But fundamentally, according to sources, this boils down to the fact that in the summer, he asked for two specific things to be added to the PSG squad, which was a sort of traditional center forward that he would be able to play off and a better central defender, neither of which PSG signed. So he is frustrated with the fact that he feels as if PSG have broken promises that were made to him when he signed his new deal.
Yeah, I mean, I'll play devil's advocate on this one. I mean, you were told that you were the star and the center of this team, right? You were told this offseason, this is going to be your team. We want you to be, like front and center. This is going to be Mbappe's PSG. And what do you want? We'll help you. We'll build around you. We'll do what we need to do. And then to turn around and, like you said, not get what he's asked for, but then also tell him it's his team, but that he's got to be the one that sacrifices and plays a position that he doesn't really want to play. I mean, I can see where you're upset about that. And I think that's the things, like, we don't see the behind the scenes of how much are they actually saying that to him. Are they just saying that to appease him and to get him to stay? Or are they sincere in the fact that, no, this is your team. Like, we don't want it to be Neymar's PSG. We want it to be Mbappe's PSG, and then completely go behind his back and not give him what he wants or let him do what he wants to do.
Yeah, and this is a tough thing. Obviously, very few people would be privy to exactly what promises were made to him when he signed the new deal. And I mean, even in the summer, there was a lot of talk about the fact that he was effectively Paris Saint-Germain's director of football, or from an American audience, like kind of being like the GM, in terms of he was the one making decisions almost on which players they signed and which players they could. And, supposedly PSG attempted to sell Neymar and couldn't find a suitable buyer. So, from that regards, what do you want them to do? Like, they, you've got one of the best, I don't know, 20 players in the world on as part of the squad. You can't just push him to the side because it kind of inconveniences Mbappe that he has to play slightly out of position if Neymar is also in the team. I just think it's a tough one because I think if you look back historically or even currently, I think almost all of the best players in world football at some moment in time, just because of the nature of the sport, will have to play in a role that they probably don't ideally want to play in. And it's just the way the sport works almost. And if you're unwilling to do that, Thierry Henry spoke pretty passionately about the fact that, he played out wide, both at Barcelona and for France. and didn't really want to, but understood that the team was asking him to do it. And I think, as he kind of rightfully points out, if the team results then are good, how can you also be upset as an individual? Because then you really are putting your individual requirements above that of the team. And PSG so far this season, whilst they haven't been incredible, have been doing pretty well. So it's not as if they're failing and Mbappe is being played out of position. And look, I mean, it's just every player. I actually think Thierry Henry, when he was speaking, he was either on CBS, I think it was on CBS's coverage of the Champions League. I think they have the US coverage of the Champions League. He was speaking about it. He actually referred to the fact, certain players you don't ask to play out of position. He referenced Alan Shearer. You wouldn't ask Alan Shearer to play out of position. Alan Shearer, during his time at Blackburn in the 90s, played out, ran down the channels just in the same way. It wasn't until his knee injuries, when it was just an impossibility for him to kind of fill any other role, that he did that. I just think it's very hard to look back. Wayne Rooney played out of position for a significant period of his career. In fact, I think his career, and look, maybe not a great argument, because I think Wayne Rooney's legacy is probably hurt from the fact that he was almost a jack of all trades by the end of his career. But you can look at multiple players in terms of either how they're used for their club side or their national side, where they are playing in roles that they ideally probably would not want to occupy. I just think, look, it's a team sport. Someone asks you to play a little bit differently. If the team's doing well, he's the highest paid footballer in the world. It's not like he's sacrificing any financial incentives to do what
I don't buy that one, though, because that's the weak part, because he could be making money anywhere. I get it, he's making a lot of money, but that whole just shut up and play, you're making a lot of money. He will be making money no matter where he's playing, so he has a right to be happy while he's making the money.
I don't think it's shut up and play exactly, but I do think
I'm sure there are a significant amount of people who are saying that or have
probably
that general attitude.
Well, I think there's lots of people who have the shut up and play attitude in general for professional athletes, just because they go, look, you're upset about having to play up front versus out wide, or out wide versus up front, but you're earning hundreds of thousands of euros a week. Come and get a real job, and then try and tell your boss, I don't want to do that because it's not my favorite thing. Which is like the real world sort of comparisons for athletes not liking things they have to do. It never translates well. And
you know what the athlete says? Okay, but then randomly while you're sitting at your desk, I'm just going to take your head and smash it against the wall and then see how many times you can take that.
Well, again, probably not a great comparison for the sport that Mbappe plays. But look, I don't think that's the reason to be frustrated. He's incredibly talented at what he does. So, he deserves the money that he makes, because there is the demand for what the skills that he has. But I think so early in your career, being that inflexible about the role that you have to play, it's not great. And just overall, right, there's been, earlier in the season, you had whole issues of penalty takers at PSG. It's just, there seems to be a massive ego battle there. And I think the danger for Mbappe is that if it turns into a little battle of egos, at the moment, Messi isn't too directly involved in it. But the moment, if he, for whatever reason, Messi gets dragged into it. Now, Messi is a very silent player, right? He's never going to publicly speak on any of these issues because he just doesn't talk publicly.
He's like a mime.
Yeah. For all I know, he might not even be able to talk. He might be mute. But the moment when people do start comparing how Messi handles the situation to Mbappe, because there's such a large percentage of football fans who would think that Messi is the greatest player of all time, to be on the same team as that player and be complaining that you might be playing slightly out of position, you're going to lose that one in the public, the court of public opinion. You are going to lose that one. So I think that would be the concern.
Let me ask you a more serious question then. Who wins in a fight? Messi, Neymar, or Mbappe?
Oh, Neymar. It's not even close.
Not even close.
No, I don't. Yes. Neymar is the 1 to 10 favorite in that fight. Messi is the extreme outsider. I mean, like, I mean,
Now,
uh,
but I'll say this: it's not like 1v1. It's all three at once.
well, based on the current situation, I think Messi and Neymar would just take on Mbappe.
So you think that's how it would work? See,
Yes.
I still think Neymar is the most unliked. So I think there would be a teaming up against Neymar, and
I
then
still think
Mbappe would just take down Messi pretty quick.
I still think Neymar would win. Even if you told me it was those two against him, I think Neymar would win.
What specifically gives you this indication?
I just think his background. I mean, I don't want to get too
I want to
judgmental,
put
right?
I want to put you in a hole here.
No, I don't want to get canceled, but I think his background overall makes me think that he'd probably be a little feistier. Would just be my guess, and just his personality. Messi again. I mean, look, they all come from quite tough upbringings, right?
I was saying,
Mess,
wasn't Neymar like wasn't again the whole thing? He was like from like the streets of Paris.
Mbappe, I mean,
Mbappe, sorry,
yeah, Mbappe's from a fairly tough suburb of Paris.
yeah, like the
So,
fifth arrondissement, right?
yes. No, he's from a fairly tough suburb of Paris, but I mean, look, I've seen very few intimidating fighters on the streets of Paris as a whole, so I don't
Oh,
know.
really? Because your record would speak otherwise.
I don't know if Mbappe's street cred would scare me off. So I think I'd defer to the Brazilian Argentinian upbringing, and then you just factor in that Messi's quite small. I think
Quite tiny.
that's what he's going again. The fact that he had to take hormones to try and get to a size that was suitable for playing football kind of hurts his reputation as a fighter.
Definitely doesn't have the reach advantage in that fight.
No, no, maybe a little bit. He's probably I don't even know if he's necessarily that much nimbler because you're talking about two fairly nimble guys. The other guys are also quicker. He's also the oldest. He's got a lot going against him in that fight for sure. I guess speaking of, we can transition that into the NFL. Speaking of physical altercations, we can maybe go into Monday Night Football and Devonte Adams, who at the end of
No, I didn't know where you were going with this at first. I was like, players got into a fight,
yeah,
but no, only one was a player.
yeah, and not even a fight, right? But at the end of a fairly exciting, if I guess controversial Monday Night Football game in the Raiders against the Chiefs, you had Devonte Adams who pushed a cameraman as he left the field, and he is now being charged with
Misdemeanor assault.
yes, which is there's a again talking of backlashes. There's a backlash against Devonte Adams. There's a backlash against the cameraman for filing the report. I
Yeah.
think everyone is getting criticism.
Yeah, yeah. So I think again, I don't. The whole story hasn't fully come out yet, but there is indication that the cameraman did go to the hospital after and was treated for something. Whether he went to the hospital because he knew if he was going to file a lawsuit against them, he had to have some medical proof. Maybe that you play the devil's advocate and that's what you think, or maybe he got pushed and bumped into something and like cut his arm and had to get a few stitches or something.
I mean, he was carrying camera equipment and got knocked directly over when not expecting it, and kind of almost.
Who knows? I mean, something could have happened. Right? Okay, yeah, he's not like they don't have to amputate an arm off of him, but like he could have sprained an ankle, hurt himself a little bit, like stitches. Who knows?
And also, anyone even playing the devil's advocate and being critical of him for maybe doing it to open up the possibility of a lawsuit. Good for him. You know what? When that guy turned up for work that day, one of the things he wasn't expecting to happen, was not expecting to happen to him, was getting just unnecessarily pushed over by a football player. I think there's this weird world we live in. I can't show up. You can't show up to the office, have a bad meeting, walk out, and just shove an intern over.
It would be so good though.
And when they go, why did you do
That
it?
would
Well,
be fucking hysterical. If like you just got roasted in a meeting by your boss and you step out and just toss an intern into like the little coffee machine.
and people wouldn't go, oh, why did he do that? Well, the final couple of minutes of his presentation did not go well. Okay,
Didn't get that raise.
shouldn't he be in trouble? No, he's kind of a star performer, so it's all right. And that intern's a nobody. Like,
let's let's cap this entire conversation for eventually when we get to House of Dragon and no repercussion for serious altercations. Let's put a cap on that and send that off to House of the Dragons.
But yeah,
but no, you're right. It's true.
Think,
like in no other job can you do that.
No. And so, yeah, he deserves. Now, look, I'm sure the guy, in terms of the assault charges, that's just part of the lawsuit process. I would imagine he's gone to a lawyer. That guy should.
Yeah, he's got Jackie Childs, I think, is his lawyer from Seinfeld.
Okay, I didn't. The reference was.
You didn't get that reference?
No, that was too much of a deep cut for me. Once you say Seinfeld, I know exactly who you're talking about. But aside from that, no. But yeah, he should absolutely be expecting some money here. You know what I mean? Like it's unacceptable behavior, and he should 100% be expecting some money from either the organization or Davante Adams directly. Like that's just, we're not talking. I don't think he should be getting astronomical sums. Like this shouldn't be. He shouldn't be retiring as a result of the money he's about to get. But if you're telling me, oh, he got $10,000, fine.
So what if? So do you think part of what you're saying that is because there was no real action on the part of the Raiders and Adams, besides Adams sending out a tweet saying he's really, really sorry and he hoped this guy sees the message? Had the Raiders initially, as soon as that happened, that's what he did. That was his tweet.
No, I know, but just hoping the guy sees the message. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what he says at the end. He literally says, I hope he sees this.
Knowing obviously full well he will. Like,
yeah. But had the Raiders like instantly reacted and said like, we're really sorry. Like here's, I don't know, a signed football and season tickets or something like that for your family or something.
It's always a tough one, right? Because once you get into these issues, you're going to have lawyers involved and they're going to say, no, don't give him anything, because if you give him something straight off the bat, then it's some admission of culpability. So, like it all gets really, the waters get really murky really fast, because you'll have lawyers saying, don't do anything. Like you're going to get sued. So if you give him something, it's an admission of guilt. So
there's a really good Parks and Rec episode with that when Andy falls down the pit.
Well, we were just going through American sitcoms.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
But yeah, I think that's the thing that complicates it, right? Is I can understand why something isn't immediately done. But look, I think there's a pretty happy solution to this. I don't think Davante Adams should be facing jail time for what he did. I also think that that this guy should probably be dropping the misdemeanor assault charges, because he should get to a point where it's just like, all right, let's have a civil settlement here and we'll forget about the rest of this. Fine. That's the point we need to arrive at. Davante Adams is going to get suspended. That's, I don't know how long you suspend him for. I think it's multiple games.
Yeah, but then, I think it's a little strong.
Well, look, the NFL
multiple games is a little strong for someone who kind of just tossed the guy out of the way.
I don't know. It's just
it wasn't even that hard of a push. In fairness, I know the guy isn't expecting it, and he's running and he's holding camera equipment, but he didn't he didn't Adam Sandler Waterboy tackle him, into the stands.
It's a pretty hard shove. Here's the thing: is the NFL has messed up the sliding scale of their suspensions based on the Deshaun Watson.
He's going to get 3 seasons, according to.
Well, no, you know what I mean. Like
that
it's all
makes
over.
Sense. I know. That's what I mean. Like it makes no sense.
It's all over the place, depending on. So, this is the issue they have. But
so let me throw a scenario out to you. You're the cameraman. The Las Vegas Raiders say, "Listen, You drop the lawsuit, we'll let you play next week. Do you take that?
In place while Devontae
And
Adams
Devontae
is
Adams
suspended.
he has to be the photographer. He
Well,
has
no,
to go around.
So Devontae Adams is suspended, but you're signed up to the team and you're played as like wide receiver 1.
Yes, you have taken his position, and he has to actually take your position. So he has to be a freelance photographer.
No. I don't give him the respect of handing over my camera.
Well, not your camera. What if he has to use
Any
like
camera.
a Polaroid?
I don't give a shit. He doesn't get to take photos. He's not.
But
in the
I think
stadium.
but I think part of that would be great, because then it would be like he actually has to do a real job.
But he wouldn't. He wouldn't take it seriously. So I wouldn't give him that because he's not going to take it seriously.
Okay,
No.
all right. Let's just do scenario 1.
Do I want to
drop all your charges, and you get to be Devontae Adams for the next week's game?
Do I want to get absolutely murdered on an NFL field? That's your question.
But you get to be an NFL player for 1 week.
The question is, how many plays do I think I could last?
I mean, you're Devontae Adams, so you're
No,
in there,
I'm not though.
You're in there every series.
No, yes, no, I'm in there every series pretty much. The question is, how many plays can I last? Like, if this is me, how many plays? I think
like a real life Shane Falco. That's the replacement's Keanu Reeves deep cut.
I've got to try and, I don't know. I mean, I would do 100%. I would accept that just for the story. I think I get with 1 week of preparation.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, no, wait! Don't they have a bye week? Don't they have a bye week next week?
Oh, 2 weeks. Okay, let's give you 2 weeks.
You got 2 weeks.
Let's even be generous. Let's give me 3 weeks, so I
Double
can really.
week. Okay.
I can learn. No. They sit out the first game. I'm on the sidelines. I get to study the playbook a little bit
Get
more.
the headset on.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I call plays for a few. You know.
Is there anyone who doesn't take that?
Yeah, the vast majority of normal human beings.
Really? You think the vast majority, if given you can sue and get, what are we thinking? 15,000?
He might get more than that, but yeah, let's say let's be generous. Let's say he gets 50,000.
50,000, or you get to be wide receiver 1 in the NFL for 1 week.
Well, let's say 2 weeks, because I think he's going to get a 2-week suspension.
Okay.
But let's say
2 weeks.
Let's say
if you can survive week 1.
Yeah, realistically,
if you're not dead.
Realistically, 3 plays. You know what I mean? Like, I genuinely.
You're a receiver, so I mean, you're only getting targeted 8 times a game anyway. The rest of the time, you're just like running routes or blocking.
Yeah, but if you're the Raiders, play number 1 with me on the field is we're gonna call a slant. We're gonna send him right over the middle. And Derek, you're going to just lead him. I don't care if he's wide open. You're going to throw that thing like a yard in front of him and make sure some corner or safety or linebacker coming in is going to just absolutely destroy him. Like that.
Dad, so you think that's the Raiders' move? If they're forced to do this deal, the Raiders then turn around and say, how quickly can we get this guy killed?
Yes.
How quickly can we get him carted off the field?
I think they look at me, if this is me, and they say to themselves, you know what we've always wanted? Deebo Samuel. And then they just go, we're going to use you super heavily. You're involved in the run game now. And it is just one and done.
I think they look at me and say, we might have an upgrade.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question, right? I mean, it kind of throws back. It's one of the questions I always like to ask in a bar, which is like, if you got given $10-20 million and 6 months to 12 months to prepare, would you get in a ring with fill in the name of the fighter in boxing? Most people say no. Most people are very rational and understand their physical limitations.
I would do that.
Oh, I would do it 100%. But
I would 100% do the football one.
So, I mean, if I gave you $20 million and 12 months to prepare, you don't get in a boxing ring with, like, obviously, I mean,
for an entire match
fight. Yeah. I mean, you're saying, yeah. I mean, you don't have to I'm not going to force you to get off the canvas. Like, this is always the debate that comes into it. Like, if you just receive a heavy punch to the gut, like, I think you can't take a dive in this scenario, but you don't have to keep getting up, right? Like you don't have to try and die in the ring.
I mean, but I think you might just die in the ring. Like you take one good shot from Tyson Fury
Well,
in the head.
but you're not going to be fighting Tyson Fury, right?
You just
I mean,
said I have to fight someone good,
hey, you have to fight someone in your weight class. You're not a
like
heavyweight.
Jake Paul.
No, but I mean, I don't know. Would you do it with peak prime time? Like a lot of people say they wouldn't even do it with like peak of his powers, Floyd Mayweather. I'd 100% do it. I'm sure it's.
I mean, I think you can beat him. We know that.
But I mean, I think like it's gonna hurt. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's gonna kill me in the ring. And again, if I get 12 months to prepare, and I've got $20 million, so I'm hiring the best trainers for those 12 months, I feel like I'm going to last a round or two. Like I'm getting my neck muscles strong enough to take a couple blows. And in the back of my mind, this is the issue. This is the optimism. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, if I land one of these, who knows? You know, even Tyson Fury, I'm probably thinking, I don't know, if he's not seen this left hand before, if this lands cleanly, Tyson could be going down and staying down. But let's ditch the hypotheticals. Well, actually, we can stay kind of in the land of hypotheticals, finish up a discussion, I guess, about Monday Night Football, because Monday Night Football was marred slightly. I mean, there was some questionable officiating over the course of that game. I don't think we need to dedicate too much time to that because, you know, the people with videos and stuff are analyzing all of those calls. And by now, if you want to look it up, you can go find people breaking down were those calls right, comparing them with other calls that have been made over the course of this weekend, this season. I think the real question to ask is the decision to go for two at the end of the game. So for those unfamiliar, the Raiders tied the game with about 4 minutes to go, or were in the position to tie the game. And instead of taking the point after, which would have tied it, decided to go for two to try and give themselves a 1 point lead.
Well,
And failed to convert, and then did eventually get the ball back. So I guess they'd argue theoretically that the approach worked, but instead of putting themselves in a position where, you know, they kind of got to play with a little bit of the pressure off of trying to drive into field goal position to potentially win, they were trying to drive into field goal position to not only potentially win, but also not lose.
Yeah, but it was a very strange game because the score before that, the Chiefs actually went for two as well and didn't get it. And then the Raiders said, "Oh yeah, you think that was bad? We can one up you, and we can also go for two and be even worse off than you guys are." So I don't mind the going for two part. I think though. I don't think it matters because I know this is going to sound like that I just love the Chiefs, but at the end of the game, whether you're up one or tied against the Chiefs and you've given them the ball back with 3 minutes, you're losing that game 95 times out of 100. Like the odds are so against you, whether you're up one or you're tied. So either way, I don't think it matters.
The reason I don't like it, I get it if it's inside 2 minutes. And so you're basically saying, look, if we can get a defensive stop, this game's over. Like if we can pin them back on this kickoff, we get this 2 point conversion. We're forcing them to go 40, 50 yards in a fairly short space of time to win this. I don't like it inside 4 minutes, well, with about 4 minutes left, because you're basically then just turning the Chiefs offense. If they'd converted the 2 point conversion, you're then turning them into a 4-down offense. And I feel like you have 0% chance of stopping them then, if you see what I mean. And so,
yeah, but I still think even if it's tied, I still think the Chiefs in the back of their head are like, no one can stop us under 3 minutes left when we need 3 points.
But they did. I think you could argue maybe exactly the same scenario plays out, but then when the Raiders get the ball back, then they're all of a sudden in a situation of, okay, worst case scenario, we're going to overtime, but maybe we're getting to kick a game-winning field goal. I don't like, against elite quarterbacks, elite offenses, I don't want to be up 1 point. I'd actually, honestly, as dumb as this sounds, and as much as this could get ripped apart by everyone doing any kind of level of statistical analysis, I don't want to be up by a point. Like if I have two choices, being up by one or being tied with 4 minutes left, I'll choose tied. As stupid as that is, because I just don't want to put
Are
the
you
other
saying
team.
are you saying against the Chiefs? I think that's very team specific.
I
If
think
you
it's
told me
elite.
you're playing against, I don't know,
It's
pick a team who can't fucking score points right now, the Denver Broncos. If it's against
yeah,
the Denver Broncos, I want to be up one against the Broncos.
you get a safety, but I think it's no. I think elite offense specific. So Bills, Chiefs, throw
Yeah,
in.
I get it. I get what you're saying. I completely understand what you're saying is that they have a little bit more incentive down one and a little bit more downs because they're going to go for it on fourth down. So you're giving them more
You've based
incentive and more opportunity
as
to
stupid as
want
this.
to score.
You've
I
given
get
them.
that.
You've given them 25% more downs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like as it kind of plays out, and and to me, for an offense that averages whatever yards per attempt that they probably have, giving them 25% extra downs, you're almost guaranteeing failure. And we've seen that play out in recent years, right? We saw it play out almost to a sense in the playoffs last year between the Bills and the Chiefs, where you just had two teams just like consist. You've gone out. Oh, you've taken the lead with a minute. Okay, we'll score. Oh, you've taken the minute. You've taken the lead with 13 seconds. Okay, we'll score. Like it was just if you put them in the
Yeah.
scenario of like, well, open up the playbook, do whatever we have to do now to get X number of yards. They probably will get it.
Yeah. I mean, I just think at the end of the day, you can't give the Chiefs any time. Like, I think the worst thing they did was score that quickly. And I know that's like a stupid thing to say where it's like you score when you can score, but I never want to give the Chiefs the ball back in the fourth quarter
That
with
was one
anything
hell of
more than
a
like
throw,
30
though, right?
seconds. Yeah, it
I know
was. It was.
Devonte Adams is getting so much credit for that, and look, his ability to get open, great catch, but Derek Carr's throw, just kind of casually slinging the ball 55 yards or whatever that is. I mean, it
Off
just
of
looked,
like a run hop. He
yes,
was like moving, like it was really weird. He didn't put his like lower body into it. He was
it
like
looks
jumping and
fake.
throwing it.
It
Yeah.
looks, you watch the replays, it looks fake. I don't think, again, it's that weird scenario, right, where different quarterbacks or different players, because Devonte Adams is kind of more of a star. He's getting more credit for that. If that is Patrick Mahomes making that throw, people are losing their minds for weeks over that Patrick Mahomes throw, about the arm strength, about the accuracy. I mean, he just dropped that in perfectly. You
Yeah.
know, I
And
think
that's what's like I sometimes feel like people don't respect throws and quarterbacks enough for things like that because when you think about it, he had to get the exact distance and the exact like height and time to put it on him, and it wasn't like a standard throw where you could say like, oh, he's practiced that throw 500 times. Of course, he knows like exactly how to throw it 55 yards with the guy doing this. He was literally like running and then like turned and like jumped in midair and threw it. So at that point, he's maybe tried that throw 5 times in his life, like to hit that distance on like with that specific movement. Like that's just crazy when you think about how perfectly he puts it in there. It's pretty amazing how quarterbacks can adjust things like that on the fly.
yeah, no, for sure. Look, the skills. Yeah, I do think the skills of quarterbacks sometimes there are certain throws, and yeah, it kind of goes back to it, right? We spoke about it, I think, on the last episode where I said sometimes those Patrick Mahomes kind of like backyard plays, people lose their minds over, and that's just like a relatively speaking simple like 5 yard pass. I'd give myself more chance of pulling off one of those Patrick Mahomes scrambling and then tossing it to Travis Kelsey or, name the receiver. I'd give myself way more chance of completing that than I would what Derek Carr did on Monday night.
Yeah.
So in terms of level of difficulty, I know which one is more challenging. But again, people just appreciate, and it goes for every sport. People appreciate things in different ways, which I don't think is necessarily associated with the actual skill level that goes into what the athletes themselves are doing. But I guess other major takeaways. I guess, look, you were pretty confident about the Giants being decent coming into this season, and looks like you're going to be right.
Yeah, I mean, not a bad win. Like they're finding ways to win. My only concern is you might get fans that now are over optimistic.
My my concern as a Giants fan is, are you shooting yourselves? There's a lot of good quarterbacks coming into next year's draft, right?
No,
There's
you know what? Because I'm saving it for 2 years from now when Caleb Williams come out, because
okay.
he's going to be the next great quarterback. So
All right.
you don't need one next year. I actually
Well,
don't think, as someone who follows a lot of college football, I actually don't think next year's crop is legendary status. There's a lot of really good quarterbacks. Like there will be a lot of quarterbacks taken off the board, but I don't think there's like the next great quarterback in that crop. So I'm not concerned about that. And to be honest with you, this year Daniel Jones has played decently. He could be a Alex Smith, and I will take that.
no, I think Daniel Jones. Look, I mean, the criticism of Daniel Jones for the longest time was how much he turned the ball over. And so in 2019, his rookie season, he turned the ball over 1.8 times per game. Unbelievable.
That's
In
amazing.
2020, he turned the ball over 1.5 times per game. In 2021, he turned the ball over 0.9 times per game. And this season so far, he's turned the ball over 0.6 times per game, which is
Yeah, that's
good.
great.
And in
Yeah.
addition to that, he's only fumbled once this year and only lost 3 fumbles last year. So again, I think fumbling was one of the big weaknesses people identified in those first couple of seasons, and he seems to have addressed that fact. So yeah, Daniel Jones probably looks a little bit better. The issue I would have is you're talking about who the next great quarterback is. I'm going to immediately unapologize to Trevor Lawrence because he is absolute fucking garbage.
Speaking of turnovers, he's got 7 in 2 weeks.
I called him.
What is going on? I'm sure not many people watched the Jags Texans game, because why would you? But his interception in the end zone to Stingley, who happens to be Stingley's first interception now as a rookie, that was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen a quarterback make.
Yeah, and again, in a situation in which you absolutely, we speak about this too, right? We spoke about it a little bit in the Ravens-Bills game. It's like the one thing you couldn't do. It was like, okay, you can get yourselves up in a game that's low scoring. It wasn't the case so much in the Ravens-Bills game. That was more of a time issue, but you were in the situation with the Jags Texans where it's like, okay, this is a field goal game. If you get yourself up by a field goal, you're probably going to win this game.
Yeah.
Instead, to give the ball away, and then obviously that drive then gets extended through penalties and stuff. But you then put yourself, I mean, but all of the apologies I offered to Trevor Lawrence, they are off the table.
So now he's going to go next week and have an epic game again. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just based off of what you say every week. So I guess the talking points I want to bring up for this week, I have 2. First, I want to do most power rankings through all the various sources have 3 teams at the top, but they're all different in how they're ranking them. How are you ranking the Bills 4-1, the Chiefs 4-1, the Eagles 5-0?
Well, Niners first.
Sorry, 2 lost teams don't get in there.
I'll put it this way: in my legitimate, honest power rankings, I have the Niners above the Eagles. I mean that very genuinely.
Still, you have that.
Yeah.
Still,
yes,
okay.
Because the Eagles this weekend did not exactly convince me that they're great in their performance against the Cardinals. I think they should have lost that game. You know, they kind of fell into the classic Cardinals trap of Cardinals start slow, but then kind of come back into games. And by the end of it, I felt like the Cardinals were the better team. So I was not convinced with the Eagles. And this weekend, in some respects, you know, they're playing the Cowboys, who, whilst I don't think are spectacular, they're kind of a good litmus test, I think, for how good of a team is, because you're kind of getting like a decent offense with probably a pretty good defense coming up against you. So that will be a good test of how good they are. I have the Bills number 1, in my power rankings, but I don't know. They haven't beaten anyone good, right? Like, I think part of the reason why people, including myself, maybe including you, were so convinced by the Bills early on was how they just manhandled the Rams in the opening game of the season.
Yeah,
Turns out the Rams are absolute garbage.
they are
So,
poopy.
so,
I am off the Rams. I am off the Rams train. Fool me 5 times, shame on me.
so you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things of, okay, who have they beaten? The Ravens are pretty good. They kind of scraped through that game, and they lost to the Dolphins, but probably should have won that game. But then I don't think the Dolphins even taking Tua out, the fact that the Dolphins got destroyed by the Jets.
And Bridgewater, though, too. I mean, they were on a third string QB.
They still got destroyed.
Not optimal.
Like, what happened to their defense? You know, even if I'd been playing quarterback, are you giving up 40 plus points against the Jets? But I think this is the issue. And the Chiefs, I'm putting the Chiefs too. I still think the Chiefs have so many flaws, but it's just a kind of vote of confidence for Mahomes, Kelsey, Andy Reid, and just their offense overall. But you know they've got flaws defensively. Offensively, they have flaws that they've never had before. They can't run the ball that effectively. They don't have that explosive pass game that they've had in previous seasons. So I'll put the Bills 1-2. The Bills 1, Chiefs 2. I don't love it though. I'll put it this way.
Eddie,
I think by the end of the
your answer is wrong. The correct answer is let's just wait 1 week and find out. Because they are the Sunday afternoon game.
They are. I don't know if that game will necessarily answer those questions, though. Depends on if the Bills dismantle the Chiefs, then I'll put them number 1 and I'll feel good about it. If the Chiefs just manage to have like a very Mahomesy Chiefs performance and kind of win a shootout.
Mahomesy? Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if that would change my opinion of them. Because I think, obviously, the Chiefs can beat any team. We know that about them. I don't think that necessarily makes them the best team.
Did you see, Eddie, speaking of the Dolphins, after they lost to the Jets, their act to improve themselves was to remove the ping pong table from the locker room. Did
Problem
you see
solved.
that?
Problem solved.
There you go.
That's been
Mike McDaniel very much like that. He thought it was a great responsibility by the captains for stepping up.
Yeah, that's
the reason.
Yeah.
Yep.
And look, I think
because when you take a ping pong ball to the head, that could really affect you. That's
what happens to Tua. A few too many ping pong balls to the head. It wasn't anything on the field. Look, I'm going to give you a little bit of credit, Frank. Credit you do not deserve. Speaking of this weekend, though, you have been
the Steelers.
Yeah, you have been predicting the downfall of the Steelers for as long as I've known you, and this might finally be the season. You are correct.
It brings tears to my eyes just watching it. Tears of happiness that they are just awful.
I think they're the worst team in the NFL.
I cannot wait for the official, because every week now this might be Mike Tomlin's first under 500 season. I can't wait till 3 weeks from now when they've lost their 9th game or 8th game, where it is official that it is his first losing season as a Steelers coach, because it's coming, and it's coming soon.
Yeah, it's going to happen this season.
They do not have an easy schedule coming up too, I think.
No, you look at, they're playing the Bucks, then the Dolphins.
Loss.
Okay, let's see. Then the Eagles.
Loss.
Then the Saints.
Loss.
Then the Bengals.
Loss.
Then the Colts.
Ooh,
Colts are bad. Falcons are bad.
Okay.
Then the Ravens.
Good night. That could be the stamp. That could be the 60-0 loss stamp.
So that's December. That's December 11th.
The Ravens week 1. Right?
I think I think you get an early Christmas present December 11th. I think that's when the Steelers officially have an under 500 season. So, but yeah, it's part of it's kind of sad, right? Because I do respect the element of that legacy of just consistently being decent. If you're a Steelers fan, This is probably ideal. You need to be, as with any American sport, if you really want to they desperately need a quarterback. I know that they have a rookie quarterback in tow, but like, you need a star quarterback.
Well, I mean, that's unfair to Kenny Pickett. I mean, he's played. He actually didn't play awful in that game. It's just their team is awful.
I will never believe in an athlete. No, I won't say an athlete.
Kenny? Are you gonna say named Kenny?
I was going to say, but Kenny Dalglish was very good, so I'm going to retract athlete. I'll never believe in a quarterback named Kenny. Certain names give you confidence in a player's ability, and Kenny.
So Kenny doesn't, but Jimmy does. Jimmy Cricket.
Yeah. Jimmy's. I got way more confidence in Jimmy than I have in Kenny.
You're confident in a Trey too.
Compared to a Kenny, absolutely. I mean, it's like when you think of the Cowboys. How much of their success we kind of joked about his name being out of a fictional football movie. But how much of their success do you think it's Cooper Rush? Like you just go, well, that guy was born to play football, like with a name like that.
How about Bailey? Is that ensuing confidence? Bailey Zappi?
No, but I'd still prefer that. That's quirkier. I still prefer that to Kenny. Kenny's way down in the bottom of the list of names I trust as a quarterback.
So the second question I had for you is, at the start of the season and for the past few seasons, we've been hailing the NFC West as the dominant division in the NFC. Is it now the NFC East with the 5-0 Eagles, 4-1 Cowboys, 4-1 Giants, and 1-4 Commanders versus the NFC West of the 3-2 Niners, 2-3 Rams, 2-3 Cards, 2-3 Seahawks?
No, it's not the NFC West. East, sorry. No, look, I think the NFC West is no longer the strongest division in football. That's pretty clear. I'd still say if you had some weird, like, head-to-head battle, NFC West, NFC East, I think the NFC West comes out on top in that. If it's like a round-robin tournament, they each play each other once. I think the NFC West...
Okay, all the way.
Yeah.
See, I was going to do matchup by matchup.
Okay, let's do matchup. Let's do seeding matchup.
Eagles, Niners.
No, because you do it like a playoff format. So you have Eagles.
I don't like that way.
Well, sorry, because it doesn't sound as good for the NFC East. You go Eagles against the Seahawks. Eagles win. Yeah, they're through the next round. You go Niners against the Commanders. Niners absolutely win. They're through the next round.
Niners win. Let's not use absolutely.
You have
Cowboys, Cardinals. Cowboys.
Yeah, but I'm not betting my life on it. And you have Rams, Giants.
I mean, the Cowboys already beat the Rams, and the Cowboys and the Giants game was a very, very close game that the Giants probably should have won. I think the Giants beat them.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how.
I mean, the Rams just look bad.
They look terrible.
They look very bad. And I get it. The Giants are winning games, and it's not pretty. Like, you could tell me the Giants are 2-3 after watching those games, and I would also believe that. But the Rams, you could tell me they're 0-5, and I would believe that after watching their games. I mean, they just look awful. Besides their defense is still strong, but
I think strong
doesn't matter.
It's okay.
It doesn't matter how strong your defense
is. They have
is.
Aaron Donald. They have Aaron Donald, and 6 times a game he makes a pretty impressive looking play but sometimes Aaron Donald making a good play is just he really hurt the quarterback there. Incompletion. You know what I mean? Like, it's the downside of a really good defense is sometimes it's just like, oh man, really forced Jimmy Garoppolo to get the ball out of his hands really fast there. Threw it out of bounds. Like, that's what an impact Aaron Donald is making. But yeah, aside from Cooper Kupp, I mean, who's the most important Cooper in the NFL right now?
Still Cooper Cup. He's still dominating.
I think only one. But I think there's only one Cooper who's going to be on a team in the playoffs, and it's not Cooper Cup.
Oh, I've got one more storyline.
Okay.
So I was in Denver on Thursday night, and I contemplated going to watch the Broncos game. That would have been the worst way I could have ever spent $100 in my entire life.
Yeah, it's arguably the worst NFL game of all time. I mean, it's genuinely right. It's
and how on earth are they on fucking primetime again this week?
Yeah, 4 out of 6.
Unbelievable.
4 out of 6 weeks, the Broncos have been had a primetime game.
I'm out. I'm not gonna watch it, and it's very hard to get me to not watch football when it's the only game on. I have no desire to watch that.
Yeah, it's tough, and it's a rough look for Russell Wilson, right? It's just I mean, I think people proclaiming that the Seahawks have absolutely won that trade, it's a little too soon. If you see what I mean, like I do think we're 5 weeks into an NFL season, and stranger things have happened than the Broncos to kind of figure themselves out at some point. They're not going to win the Super Bowl this year, but suddenly turn into a halfway decent team. They're not going to make the playoffs out of that division from the start they've had, but suddenly be okay, which means that draft pick that they've given up in the first round next year all of a sudden is not a great pick. And then next year, maybe they're a pretty good team. Like, I'm not expecting the Broncos to win the Super Bowl during Russell Wilson's time there, but I do expect them to get better. I do think it's way too early to be absolutely proclaiming that the Seahawks won that trade.
Yeah, I agree. And shit, I just realized they're playing the Chargers, so I'm going to watch that game. God damn it.
Yeah.
God damn you, Justin Herbert.
And look, that's just the time, right? Russell Wilson will beat Justin Herbert just to start convincing people that he still has it.
Just to make me angry.
Yes. But all right, I guess that pretty much wraps up the sports discussion. I mean, I guess the only other NFL thing to maybe mention was Ron Rivera absolutely throwing
steamrolling
Carson Wentz under the bus. For those unfamiliar, he got asked why other teams in the NFC East were being successful and the Commanders weren't, and his one-word answer to the question was quarterback. I mean, it's just, I think I've never seen a head coach just be willing to throw a starting quarterback just completely under the bus like that. But probably doesn't deserve too much attention. But yeah, it's I guess we'll do our preview on the next episode for the upcoming week. But NFL season at an interesting point. A lot of unknowns. A lot of unknown knowns so far.
Yeah, and Matt Rule fired, now making that, the second or third QB to be fired in trusting Baker Mayfield?
Head coach, you mean?
Head coach, yeah. Fired.
Yeah.
And trying to trust Baker Mayfield.
He's a little bit of a head coach killer at the moment. But I mean, look, Rule gets what? Like another $40 million or something obscene?
Yeah.
I don't think we have to shed too many tears for him.
Yeah. See, I did see, though, that Baker Mayfield has the worst QBR rating right now for a season since they've started the QBR rating in 2007 out of any quarterback.
That's impressive.
Not good.
But again, the only other sports story we've never made mention. Have you been following the chess cheating scandal much?
No, I didn't even know there was a chess. Oh, you know what? I saw a headline for it, but I was so bored by just reading the headline that I did not click on it.
It's a fascinating story, with the accusations that someone's cheated in a live chess game, basically using like anal beads to receive sort of messages so that he could make the correct chess move. It's the type of scandal I never expected to be coming out of the chess world, but finally the chess world is getting some level of international attention and coverage. But yeah, if you want to follow that story more closely, we are probably not the podcast for you.
I mean, you've got to give me some more specifics here.
So
describe this mechanism.
So at the moment, it's pure speculation. But basically, you have a player who was previously found to have cheated in online games. And basically, in online games, they use sort of cheating detection software, which analyzes your previous style of play and approach, and then also compares it with the algorithms that obviously predict what the best possible move was. And it kind of works out if at any moment in time you seem to stop playing in your typical way and start playing in the smartest possible way, is basically how they're finding out whether or not you're cheating. If you're started using some kind of AI to make the correct chess move. This guy has
but
been...
sometimes isn't the best strategy having no strategy? How does the computer detect that?
Well, that's actually the thing is, that's one of the reasons, is because the AI doesn't have strategy. It makes the best move. And so, I mean, obviously there's an element of strategy to what it's doing, but whereas a human is really trying to set up a particular strategy, the AI is more thinking, well, what are the best moves over the next couple of sort of, what can I do right now that's the best? And that's kind of how they can see when you are cheating, almost, is when your moves become technically correct, but lack sort of strategic foresight, I think is basically what they're looking for. And he's admitted to cheating previously in online games. He denies cheating recently, and he denies cheating in person in this game. He was cheating against Magnus Carlsen, who's the best chess player in the world at the moment, who then played him online in an online tournament subsequently and made one move and resigned in kind of protest because he said he didn't want to play in a tournament with a cheater present. And then basically everyone said, well, the only way he could have been cheating. I don't really know how they made the leap to the anal beads. I don't know exactly how it came about that was definitely the way he was doing it, but I feel the chess world is very convinced that he had some kind of vibrating device in his ass that was relaying the correct chess moves to him. It seems to me that there's a million alternatives to that don't involve sticking something up your ass. But the chess world is just, no, he had something up his ass.
Why can't it just be under his shirt or something?
I don't know. Maybe they check. Maybe they do some kind of search of you.
They
so
strip search you, but not fully.
Know.
They don't do full strip search.
It's not prison. They don't do a cavity search.
No.
But maybe they have to start doing that. I would tune into chess if at the start of each game they had to bend over and spread their ass cheeks. If that was part of it, I'm all in. I'm replace Sunday Night Football with Sunday Night Chess. I'm fine.
I had to spread my butt cheeks as Mike Honcho.
Yes, but then
Talladega Nights.
Well, movie reference. Maybe we can move on then to the TV portion of the discussion. So the question is, do we start our TV discussion with The Lord of the Rings, or the Rings of Power, I guess we should refer to it as?
The penultimate episode.
Or The House of the Dragon?
Penultimate episode.
Yeah. Where would you like to start?
I have to say, neither were great. Rings of Power had a lot of momentum. And then this episode, I understand. What's disappointing is Game of Thrones, what I loved in the original series, which obviously you didn't see, their penultimate episodes were killer episodes. That's where it was the best episode. So much happened. It changed the season. And then the next one was kind of like a recovery episode where they kind of just set it up for the next season. Lord of the Rings, or Rings of Power, went the opposite. And they said, let's just have a filler episode and kind of settle off of what happened, the excitement of last week, and play up for the finale. So not much happened in terms of action. It's a lot of setup, and I think it really depends on the finale at this point, because if they set it up and this finale kills, I could care less that episode 7 was a little bit of a downer when 6 was a great one.
It was probably the weakest episode so far, and I do agree with you. It did feel like a little bit of a filler, which is a shame for them because their episodes are long. You know, you're talking about hour and 15-minute long episodes. So when it's nothing substantial happens, you do kind of walk away feeling as if you watch nearly a full movie basically without anything kind of happening in it. But I get it because you do see it
really depends, I think, on this next episode.
Yeah, we're set for. There's a lot of things. The thing I guess I might find frustrating going into this final episode is there's so many balls currently in the air. Will this episode just wheel through them in terms of answering, like, is the guy Sauron? Which I think presumption is he is. Yeah. Do we get that answer in this episode? Maybe we don't. Because I think they're projecting to do 5 seasons of this. I think what they've already sort of said is the goal. That obviously it's a little bit performance based, I'm sure. But I think
5.
So maybe they don't have to answer that particular question in this episode. You feel like they have to answer who the weird wizard is, or get some indication of who he is.
No, I don't think you're going to get any of those. I mean, I'm okay with not learning those things, but I would like some action. Especially, with the stranger storyline, I want some action.
So what do you think is going to happen? If we're not getting either who is the weird wizard or is that guy Sauron?
The stranger, Eddie, the stranger.
Who's
That's called?
Okay, yeah, whatever. I prefer weird wizard.
The big guy. The big guy.
The normal-sized guy with short people.
With Harfoots, Eddie. Come on, get the terminology right. You don't got to be a jerk. Don't disrespect Nora like that.
That storyline to me, that's the one downer. Every time the Harfoot storyline comes in, I could just go to sleep.
But I do like the stranger part. But now that the stranger has left, now I really don't care about the Harfoots very much.
Because, here's the thing.
It was good when they were together, but Harfoots alone, not so much.
Hobbits in general, right? Least interesting race. Like, they bring nothing. They got no skill.
We talked about this. This is like a very hot issue. Like, most people love the Hobbits in the Lord of the Rings movies.
They're idiots. I think... The reason why I can understand someone liking the Hobbits is because the Hobbits is us. Like, the Hobbits is the average person rising to the occasion.
No, man is the average person.
No, because the Hobbit they have no special skills. They're unassuming. They're unsuited to all of the physical challenges that they're about to face. They are the...
Oh, maybe that's you.
No, it's the epitome of the average person rising to the moment, kind of overcoming a massive challenge. Like, that's what the whole Hobbit, Lord of the Rings story kind of tells you, right? Is in a world filled with people with greater advantages than them, these hobbits manage to inspire others just because, well, why would the hobbits be doing it when the elves won't? Or, the thing is, it just fundamentally comes back to, like, the elves should just be doing everything. I don't get how the elves just don't kill everyone all the time because they're just so amazing. But you know what I mean? No, every time you see the elves in battle, we spoke about it on the last episode, right? But, like, every time you see the elves, you're just like, okay, they're just incredible. Like, why aren't they just sending 9 elves to kill all the orcs? You know what I mean? Like, how many elves would it take? Like, why? But
it's very true.
But the hobbits themselves, okay, the Bilbo Baggins and the Frodo storylines were interesting, but these ones, they could just... I don't need to watch some people slowly walk around, occasionally sing an annoying song. You know what I mean? Like, I can do without it.
Oh, that song was good, Eddie.
It was awful.
I draw the line there. I enjoyed that song. The "Those Who Are Wander Are Not Lost" song.
Yes,
that was a good one.
I hated that song.
I know,
but yeah, no, it's overall, I could just do without most of this
Yeah.
storyline. But
I mean, this episode, again, like I said, this episode all depends on the next episode. If they have a good finale, and I don't think they necessarily need to answer the big questions, but at least get good progress in some of those storylines, like have the stranger meet up with those guys that are chasing him and have something happen. I'm okay with that. But like if after this season they're still just chasing him down, it kind of gets annoying.
yes. Yeah, there's too many questions. You can't fall into that trap that TV shows sometimes do of leaving. It's the Lost approach, right? Of too many unanswered questions for too long. Who are those people? Who's that guy? Who's this guy? There's a certain moment in time you got to answer some of those questions for me, and then let's step by step. You don't have to do it in one episode, but you got to give me some of the answers so I don't just feel like, are you just keeping it going and thinking whichever one of these seems the most interesting, we'll just keep that. We're like testing the waters on which one people find the most intriguing.
I guess the hope is that the showrunners have at least an outline of the entire show.
Well, I think they've already started making season 2, I think.
No, but I mean it in the sense that they already have like what's going to happen, which I mean, theoretically, everyone knows what's going to happen. I mean, they say it in the beginning of The Lord of the Rings, but do you know what I mean? Like that they know what the big arcs are and how they're going to resolve. Whereas something like Lost, they went off and said, hey, let's try this show out and make it crazy. And then once they kept getting renewed season after season, they were like, oh shit, now we need to do another season. What do we do now? Like, we don't know where to go from here. Let's go this way. You know, like it's completely different when you're making a show on the fly versus when you're making a show already knowing how you want things to end up and how to have them wrap up. So I hope they have that. If they don't, then that's not good.
No, I agree. Yeah, I do. I will say people have obviously been critical of the diversity. Who cares? The lack of strong male characters within the TV show. Some people have been critical of. I didn't love the ship's captain, whatever his name is, just turning into an absolute sissy at the end of the episode. Just like because his son
died.
Yeah, and then suddenly he's just lost the complete sense of duty. You know, like just looking into the distance and crying. That bit I could have done without. That didn't seem necessary because is he going to suddenly regain his composure when his son reappears? We know his son is definitely still alive, right? Like that horse has run off to find his son.
Yeah, which that I don't like.
Just because they have
at some point. I'm okay with fantasy stories, but at some point, there's no way a horse is running back and is gonna like pull him out of a burning fire surrounded by orcs.
But it's the deep.
If that happens, I might be out.
It's the deep emotional attachment that his mother taught him that.
Yeah.
So
yes.
All right, on to House of the Dragon, which is trying to bring leprosy back in the zeitgeist.
Yeah, for sure. I will say this: I enjoyed the episode, but it was a little too much of certain things. Example 1. I'm okay with you showing me how much Viserys is deteriorated. That's fine. I don't need to see 35 minutes of it.
Yeah.
And it's just frustrating because the one scene where they're talking to him, it takes him a minute to say 3 words. And at a point, you're like, can we just speed this fucking conversation
How
up?
about when he slowly walked through? Wasn't that inspirational?
See, now I'm okay if that were like the big scene. Like if that was like, how bad is Viserys? And then you see him slowly like crawl up like, oh shit, he's fucked. Like I'm okay. And that actually was a pretty good scene. You know, like like you could tell that there was like a lot of effort put into that scene. And then like when his brother like helped him up, that's fine. Like I'm okay with that. I didn't need then before that when he's talking to Otto Hightower while they're like picking his scabs for 5 minutes and he can barely breathe. I don't need that scene because what was the point of that scene? I want supper. That's it. 5 minutes for him to say, I want supper. Like it was a little too much of, we get it. He's going to die. He's in rough shape. We get it.
No, they've had him going to die since episode 2. The guy won't die.
Oh, he's dead. Now he's dead.
Yeah, you think. Wouldn't surprise me if, I mean, would it?
He's like riding a dragon next episode. Full mask.
Would it stun you if he's not dead? You know what I mean? Like, would it really stun you that much?
No, I think that was like a tip of the hat to Patty Constantine. I always get it wrong.
I think
that was like his like farewell episode.
Okay, well,
he's
so
dead.
long.
He's got to be dead. Which rough beat for that guy, because he's a great actor, and to have to play that role, that sucks.
Well, just I think in terms of the time he must have had to spend getting makeup and stuff done, that's got to be the real downer.
Yeah. Like, it's got to suck to have them remove your eye for a whole episode and then have to put it back. That couldn't have been fun.
I'll separate the fact that his leprosy made him age at a just awfully horrific rate.
52 years old he was.
Is that
when he died? Yeah. In fake book history.
Okay. Fake history of sort of fake retelling of fake book history. The inconsistent aging of all the other characters just drives me insane. The kids age massively, look complete. I don't know how they picked out who plays older versions of each character. They might have just pointed at random people on the street, because for whatever they say about how they tried to find people who look the same, every time none of the characters look similar from one to the other. But everyone else, like, for the most part, all of the other older characters haven't aged. They don't age. They maybe add a wrinkle, like they add some, like a couple crow's feet, or they put a couple gray hairs in, like the Queen's Guard guy or King's Guard guy. You know,
Christian Cole. Christian Cole has aged now what would have been about 20 years since the first episode,
and he's
gone from being, let's say he was 18, even though that's not right. He's probably like 20 in the first ones. So he'd have to at least 40 by now.
Yes. And he has, I don't know, a couple of very slight wrinkles and hints of some gray hair, but fundamentally looks identical. And, you know, like all the other characters, there's some like very mild aging going on, but it's nothing. Even some of the older people, the hand or whatever it is, he's reappeared, looks the same. He seemed pretty old at the start of the story. You know what I mean? Like
he looks slightly older. If you see the picture I just saw today, the pictures side by side, he does look older. But I'll give you a good one. How old do you think Daemon is?
Well, this is the issue.
In this last episode, episode 8, how old is Daemon Targaryen?
He must be in his 40s, right?
He's 48. He still looks like he's 30.
Yeah. Now, they haven't aged him much at all. But I mean, that's part of the issue too, is even taking away the leprosy, he and his brother have just consistently looked as if they were generationally different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
but that's the way to the crown, Eddie.
Looking younger?
No, Viserys looks older. Much older. He's like Obama. The crown has aged him.
Oh, the weight of the crown. I thought you said the way to the crown.
Yeah, no, the weight of the crown.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not. It's the aging inconsistency really, really bothers me.
Okay, so I'll just 2 scenes I think we should discuss before we end this. One, were you expecting the head chop?
Sort of. I was definitely expecting some kind of killing there. I kind of took issues. I don't know what a head looks like if it's sliced in half. I think it definitely doesn't look like that, though.
No, it does. No, that's good.
You know what I mean? Like, it seemed to be sliced at his mouth, but he kind of had brains visible on his bottom half. You know what I mean? Like, where you wouldn't have brains. Like, it just didn't seem... That kind of bothered me because it just didn't look at all realistic. Like, he just had his untouched tongue hanging out.
Let him keep his tongue.
Yeah, but like nothing...
If you're about to slice a guy's head off, you got to have a good line like that prepared.
And then hope that it comes through.
And hope it makes it.
And if it doesn't, you go and put his tongue back in.
Yeah.
It was, but yeah, I was fine with that as a killing. Yeah, sure.
At this point, I think he is keeping the show alive. Matt Smith. He is doing a phenomenal job as Daemon Targaryen.
I mean, he has the best character for sure. He has the most interesting character, right? He's been given one of the few characters that you kind of feel like you sort of know and has multiple layers to them. Everyone else just seems like very one-dimensional. Actually, I'll say this. I think there's only two characters that are multi-dimensional, really. I think there have been characters who are multi-dimensional over the course of the series in terms of they had different dimensions, but at any one particular time, it is one-dimensional, if you see what I mean.
Most are in 3 dimensions.
But Daemon Targaryen and actually the other person who I think does actually
Alicent, the queen?
No. The queen of the other queen who's
the queen that never was.
Yes. I actually think she does a good job.
Rhaenys.
Yes. She does a good job in her role, but she's obviously limited screen time. But I actually feel like whenever she's there, she kind of delivers. There's something to it. Everyone else, it's just like wet sponges.
I think Rhaenyra and Alicent, the queen, I think they're pretty good.
Are they? It's so uninteresting. Their whole storyline is just like, why do you all dislike each other so much? Like, it's just such an obvious, like, you want power, but you don't want power. You know, it's just, gosh, it's so painful.
Oh, that's point number 2. Speaking of painful, and speaking of the NFL adopting a new concussion protocol, someone better get that young kid into concussion protocol, because that Aegon Targaryen smashed that kid's face into the table during the fight, and no one said anything. Yeah. That kid is in concussion protocol, even there in Westeros. He's got to be put on the bench because he just got his head smashed. Like, that came out of nowhere. One kid gets pushed, and then it escalates to the other kid getting his face smashed. That kid got a rough beat.
Yeah, and I get why they kind of didn't allow that fight to develop more than it did, but you did sort of feel as if the sort of possibility of Daemon, right, the Matt Smith character stepping in, like there was the sort of macho dismissiveness of when he stepped off, like a kind of mutual respect, a sort of, okay, you I won't mess with sort of thing. Yeah. And it's the seeming admiration that you get from that other character, the guy with one eye, that he had both when he chopped the head off and then in that role. There's obviously some level of respect there that they're kind of building towards. Yeah.
He's mini Daemon.
Yes, but still, it would have been nice to have some kind of...
Oh, you want them to face off, Eddie? Oh,
take out the other eye. How does this kid with no depth perception evolve into just this incredible
fighter? The best fighter?
Yeah, like how does that happen?
3 seconds into that courtyard fight scene, I said, no way with one eye are you a good fighter. I'm sorry. You physically can't.
No.
It's impossible.
Absolutely.
You don't have depth perception.
I would just throw an apple in his direction and then swing my sword. You know, just like he'd just be confused by which object's coming at me. Where is it? No, I think that's an issue.
And seemingly, I mean, I get kids hit growth spurts, but how does he look 7 years older than every other kid when he's he's the younger of the brothers?
Oh, the inconsistency in the growth of the kids. They've all grown at different rates.
Like, and I know in the books he is like, that's his thing. Like he's like a big, strong kid and a great fighter, but doesn't even come close.
Can I also, as a scientist, I want to ask you a genetic question too here. So obviously such a major plot line of this is the fact that her children, original children, do not look like Valerians. Is that what they are? With the blonde hair. The big
Targaryens.
Targaryens. Big giveaway, no blonde hair. what is the recessive dominant gene within that blonde hair? Because you have the king has children with the second
Allison
queen,
Hightower,
who
who
is
is all
not
dark haired. Everyone in that family is dark haired.
pure blondes comes out of it.
Yeah.
She has children with the strong whatever, has pure brown haired, then has children with Matt Smith's character, blonde hair. What are the recessive dominant genes in this blonde hair, pale skin situation?
I mean, that's definitely, like a fictional part too to drive that story. Because I said the same thing. I could get maybe one of Allison's kids to be dark, but I guess the issue would be, right, if they were Lenore's kids, they wouldn't be dark haired. They'd either be white haired or blonde haired, and white or black in color.
They could have made him. They could have made them not look like. They didn't have to make them just carbon copies of their dad. You know what I mean? You see what I mean? Like, it's just this weird thing where every other child just doesn't look like. There's no kind of shared
Not
physical traits with anyone else, and it's like, well, no. But these kids, for whatever reason, both of these kids look. The strong genes are strong genes, seemingly.
Yeah. Although I did like that little speech that kid gave, the BDE Targaryen, the big dragon energy,
with
the very strong boys, and then he doubled down on it. Like, yeah, he's playing the a-hole card real strong.
He's a good actor too. He's been in a lot of like BBC series and stuff. He's a good actor.
So I mean, will be interesting is next week when we talk, because you'll have the finale of Rings of Power, and if House of Dragon plays like the original Game of Thrones, this next episode will be the big episode. So we'll have 2 big episodes hopefully next week.
Yeah, I mean, you're assuming that the king is dead, so the next episode is the decision making over who is inheriting the throne and setting up all of that side of things. But
it's about to start, Eddie. The Dance of the Dragons.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Speaking of cool, what was the one scene where he's like, "Hey, look, I found some dragon eggs." Where did that scene come from?
I'm assuming that's of significance later on, that they have 3 extra dragons, but it's true that it just was there and then gone. It was just like, oh yeah.
It's like, let's switch into a sci-fi movie for 5 minutes.
No, it's true that they didn't, like, they could have just told us later on, yeah, we found 3 dragon eggs, and I wouldn't want to say, well, you should have shown me when you found them in some mud. Otherwise, I don't believe you. But now we go, okay, yeah, he found 3. And not only 3 dragon eggs, right? 3 dragon eggs from the biggest dragon.
Yeah. Oh, no, it wasn't the biggest, was it?
I think that's what it was. Who knows? I don't care. I find it all massively dorky. I somewhat hate myself for watching it. On that note, should we wrap things up?
All right, let's wrap it up. Now that you established you hate yourself.
All right.
I'll talk to you later.
See ya.